We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi in Meseches Rosh Hashana. This is Rosh Hashana Daf 20b. On the previous Zaman, Rav Dimi Minahardoi said that you're allowed to scare the Eidim in order to make Rosh Chodesh early, but you can't scare the Eidim in order to delay Rosh Chodesh, and the Gemara now explains why. Hai michzi kashikra, in one case it looks like a lie. Hai lo michzi kashikra. In the other case, it does not look like a lie. Rashi over here says, Hai michzi kashikra, kishaniris bizman. In other words, when the moon was visible at the right time, ve'enon me'idin, and they do not testify. So harbe acherim yesharu, there's a lot of other people that did see the new moon. So if going to delay it when everybody saw the moon, that's going to be a problem. That looks like a lie. So therefore, if the moon was visible, we don't scare the Eidim into not testifying. V'nira shal sheker ivru, it looks like, it appears that this was all done falsely. They purposely added a day. Aval kishaloru, but if you have a situation where the moon was not visible, v'yamru ra'inu, and then you convince the Eidim to say they saw the new moon, meaning you're convincing them to make Rosh Chodesh a little earlier, so ein sheker noda, the lie is not going to be known because people will say, we didn't see the moon, but maybe somebody else did see the moon, so that's why, again, you're allowed to declare the Rosh Chodesh a little earlier than when it's visible, but once it's visible, you can't delay it. The Gemara continues, Amar Shmuel says, Yachilna l'sukune l'chula gola, I can fix a calendar for the entire diaspora, so there's no more need for witnesses who see the new moon. So the Gemara continues, Amar le Abba avuad Rabbi Simloi l'Shmuel, Abba, the father of Rabbi Simloi, said to Shmuel, Yada mar hai milsa detanya besodo ibor, does the master know how to explain that which is written in the Brais of the Sodo Ibor, the secrets of the calendar? It talks about nolad kodem chatzos, or nolad achar chatzos, talks about a situation where you have the molad, the new moon, before midday or after midday. Do you know how to explain that? So Amar le lo, so he said to him, no, I don't know how to explain it. So Amar le, so he said to him, Midaholo yadamar ikamile acharnisa de lo yadamar. From the fact that the master doesn't know how to explain that, there are other things the master can't explain, and therefore it's not a good idea to try to fix a calendar. And the Gemara continues, Kisolik Rabbi Zera, when Rabbi Zera went up to Eretz Yisrael, Sholach lehu, he sent to the people above the following message, Tzarech she'ei laila v'yom min hachodesh, that the night and the day need to be part of the new month. Rashi over here explains, Tzarech she'ei laila v'yom min hachodesh, hayom holech achar halayla, meaning the day follows the night. Lios hayom min hachodesh shehaya bo leil shalafanav, meaning the day has to be part of the same month, that new month that the night before was part of. Lamadu, and therefore we learn, Shem niris halavana hayeshana mishachashecha, if the old moon, meaning the moon from the previous month, if that is seen already when it's dark, so Yom Esrim V'tisha Shu Leil Shloshim, on that 29th day, which is the night of the 30th day, Ein Mekadsheno So B'Yom Shloshim, you're not allowed to say that it's Rosh Chodesh on day number 30. In other words, the molad has to happen before the night. If the new moon takes place after night comes, then already at that point in time, you're not allowed to declare Rosh Chodesh that day. You have to wait for the next night. You have to wait for the night of the 31st day to be Rosh Chodesh. The Gemara continues with the message of Rabbi Zera, V'zu Amar Abba avuad Rabbi Simloi, and that which Abba, the father of Rabbi Simloi, said, Rashi over here says, V'zu Amar Abba avuad Rabbi Simloi lifnei Shmuel, that which Abba, the father of Rabbi Simloi, said to Shmuel, V'lo yada lefarsha, and Shmuel didn't know how to explain it. Ma'achilak bein nolad kodem chatzos lanolad la'achar chatzos, didn't know what is the difference if the molad happens before chatzos or after chatzos. Ani mefarsha lachem, I'm going to be able to explain exactly what that means. It means as follows. Mechashvin has told us so. We figure out the time of the molad. Nolad kodem chatzos biyodua shenira samach l'shkias achama. If the molad happens before chatzos, so then we know that the moon is going to be visible before sunset. Lo nolad kodem chatzos, but if the molad happens, if it doesn't happen before chatzos, it happens after chatzos, biyodua shelo nira samach l'shkias achama. Then we know that the moon will not be visible near shkias achama. And lamai nafkamina, what difference does that make? Amar Ravashi lachushe sadi. It makes a difference in order to contradict the witnesses. We'll be able to contradict the witnesses if they tell us something that was impossible. Rashi over here explains, Mechashvin es molad halafana. We figure out when the molad is going to be. Now, nolad kodem chatzos. If the molad is before chatzos, hayom, so biyadua shenira hayom, kodem shetishka hachama. So then we know already that before sunset, it's going to be visible. She'ein halavana miskasim ibnei Eretz Yisrael she'ein b'mayrib, because we know that the moon is not covered up. It's not invisible to the people of Eretz Yisrael who are in the west, ela sheishos achar chidusha. It's only covered up for 6 hours after the molad, mitoch kotna, because it's very small at that point in time. Shalavana liolam b'sheishos la'achar chidusha b'keren ma'arav is jeromis, because 6 hours after the molad, so already it's visible. It's in the southwestern part of the sky. V'niras lem, and the people in Eretz Yisrael can see it. But lo nolad achar chatzos biyadu shelo yira hayom. If the molad was not after chatzos, so then the moon is not going to be visible today during the day. Shei katana kol sheishos v'nel lemes me'en kol. It's going to be very small. It's going to be invisible. And lamai nafkamino lemichshav harei al pi edem anu mekatchen. You might say, what difference does it make to calculate? We go by the edem anyway. The answer is lachu sheisadi. We can contradict the witnesses. If nolad achar chatzos, meaning if the molad is after chatzos, v'yamru ra'inu hachadosh lefnei shkias achama, and they come in and they testify that they saw the new moon before sunset, kedei lakadsho hayom, in order to make it, to sanctify today Rosh Chodesh. So you know edei sheker him. You know they're edei sheker because again the molad was too late. It's impossible that they saw the moon today. Again, it has to be already that they're going to see the moon the following day. And the Gemara continues. Amar Rabbi Zeir, Amar Rav Nachman. Rabbi Zeir says in the name of Rav Nachman, Chav dalid shoy michsi sierra. There are 24 hours that the moon is completely invisible. You're not able to see it. Lididon shisme atika v'tam nisari mecharata. Now for us, meaning for us who are in Bavel, so those first 6 hours of the 24 hours are from the old month. It's 6 hours before the molad, before the new month, before the new moon really starts, and then the other 18 hours, that's already part of the new month, so to speak. That's after the molad that it's invisible. Lididhu, and for them in Eretz Yisrael, so shisme charata, it's 6 from the new. That's exactly what we said before, that when the molad happens 6 hours later, the people in Eretz Yisrael are going to be able to see the moon. V'tam nisari me'atika, and 18 hours where it's covered up, that's going to be from the old month. That's going to be before the molad. And again, the Gemara says the same thing. Lamai nafkamina, what's the difference? Amar Rav Ashi lachu sheisadi. Again, Rav Ashi says it's in order to contradict the witnesses. If the witnesses say they saw the moon at a time that it's impossible to see the moon, we will know that they're testifying falsely. The Gemara continues. Amar Mar, the master said above, tzarach she'ei laila v'yom min hachodesh. The night and the day both need to be a part of the new month. In other words, as we said, the molad has to happen before the night because the day always follows the night in terms of your calculations. And so the Gemara says, Menolan, from where do we know this? Rabbi Yochanan Amar me erev ad erev. Rabbi Yochanan says, talking about Yom HaKippurim, it talks about from evening till evening. And so again, the implication is that the day follows the night in terms of all calculations of the holidays on the calendar. Reish Lakish Amar, Reish Lakish says, Ad Yom HaEchad Vesrim Lachodesh. When it's talking about Pesach, it says you're going to go until the 21st of the month, Bo'erev, in the evening. So again, the implication of the pasuk is the day is always following the night. The Gemara says, "My beinayu." What's the difference between the two approaches? Both psukim are implying the same thing. Abaye Amar Mashmos Darshanika beinayu. Abaye says, "You're right. It's basically the same thing, just learned out from different psukim." Rav Amar, Rava says, "Chatzos Laila Ika beinayu." There's a difference between them in terms of Chatzos Laila, in terms of midnight. Rashi over here explains first, Ad Yom HaEchad Ve'esrim Bo'erev, Lamanu Yitzias HaMoed Bo'erev. You see again that the holiday ends in the evening. Harei Sheholach Hayom Achar HaLayla, the same idea, the day follows the night. And then the Gemara said, Chatzos Laila Ika Beinayu. The difference between them is when you're talking about midnight, meaning, Man de Yolaf Miyom HaKippurim. If you learn from Yom Kippur, that's the first pasuk. So Holech Achar Tchilas HaLayla Chsiv Me'erev Ad Erev, because it says from evening till evening. So according to him, if the old moon is still visible even at the beginning of the night of the 30th, so it's too late. It can no longer be that it's Rosh Chodesh on the 30th day, because again, part of your 30th day, even if it's just the beginning of the night, if just the beginning of that night is part of the old month, then the 30th day cannot be Rosh Chodesh. Now the one who learns from matzah on Pesach, so ein hayom holech achar tchilas halayla. So that's not from the beginning of the night. Sharei mechatzos layla harishon shel Pesach ad yom ha'echad v'esrim achilas matzah reshus. It's really only from chatzos of the first night that eating matzah is a reshus, is voluntary. Uvilvad shelo yochal chametz, that you just have to keep away from chametz, but you don't have to eat matzah. Kedamrinon b'shili arvei psachim. V'chatzos layla rishon cholek mehem v'nimshach im ha'Pesach hanishchad be'arba asar Now that first half of the night on the first night of Pesach, there you have to eat matzah, an obligation. So according to that opinion, let's say the old moon is still visible at the beginning of the night, meaning the beginning of the night till Chatzos is still part of the old month. So then, you are allowed to scare the witnesses the next day and force them to say that they saw the new moon, even though they did not. If we decided that for whatever reason we want to be Mekadesh the Chodesh on the 30th day, let's say again, you want to make for whatever need, let's say you want to have Yom Kippur be separated from Shabbos, you would be allowed to do that, because as long as the old month, as long as it took place before Chatzos, and as long as the Moled was before Chatzos, so then you're still okay to declare the 30th day Rosh Chodesh according to this opinion. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Zeira, Amar Rav Nachman. Rabbi Zeira says in the name of Rav Nachman, Kol sveiko lekame shadin. And anytime you have a situation outside of Eretz Yisrael where you're keeping 2 days of Yontiv, so the 2 days are always going to be after the day you think is Yontiv. And the Gemara explains what this means. Lememra, what this means to say is, the chameisar v'shitzar avdinon, that we make Yontiv the 15th and the 16th. Our base are lo avdinon, but you don't make the 14th into Yontiv. You don't say there's a doubt, and maybe Yontiv is really the day before. No, you don't say that. You make Yontiv the 15th, and then out of a doubt, we say also the 16th. But the Gemara asks, why is that the case? V'li'avid nami arbeisar. Why don't we also make the 14th Yontiv? Dilma chasrua la'av v'chasrua la'elul. Because maybe you have a situation where, let's say, the month of Av is chaser and the month of El is chaser. Let's say 2 months in a row were chaser. So then you'd have a situation where the 14th already would be Sukkos. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph.